I just had Arby's, and it was really good. Arby's is actually pretty good. Man, that was some really good Arby's. I like Arby's. Arby's is pretty underrated, actually. Arby's is pretty good. I just went to Arby's and I liked it.
Good morning, Sweet World, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Tuesday, November 26th, 2024. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, Tass Mellis.
Podcast listeners, this is for you.
Next to him, it's the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Heyo.
Heyo. And over yonder, making the magic happen, he likes Arby's.
Sure.
It's JD.
Hello.
Hey, JD.
Hello.
I'm not sure. Is that really true?
No.
No, I hate Arby's.
I don't hate it, but it's pretty good. It's not my top five for sure.
No. Yeah. Is it in anybody's top five here?
I always think it's going to be good. Then I go inside and it's never what I expected. It's like what that guy expected.
Top five fast foods, you mean? Or just top five restaurants? Because certainly not fast foods.
Top five fast foods. Is it?
No way. I think if you did the old Family Feud poll, it's not going high.
Curly's are good.
Curly's are good. The deal back in the day, 5 for $5. I don't think it's that anymore.
You won't believe this. Not an ad. Just a cold open that spilled into the show.
We've been courting you for years, Arby's.
Yeah, that's right. They would never send you the Arby's tracksuit or whatever.
They sent everybody else that I've ever met an Arby's tracksuit except for me.
Yeah, despite always saying we have the meats when somebody would get the
rebounds,
20 rebounds.
It's not worth it. When those inadequate restaurants do end up sending you something, it's never good.
No.
I got a $50 gift card from Olive Garden that I hadn't used for years. Then I finally used it. Oh, God, it wasn't good. No. Oh, no.
Even the breadsticks, eh?
Oh, yeah, they're bad.
Okay. Before we get into the hoops from last night, if you're looking for an excellent Christmas gift this holiday season, something for the basketball-loving sicko in your life, might we suggest this? The story of the greatest players in NBA history, the Basketball 100, is now available to buy. The link is in the show notes. This is the definitive guide to the top 100 NBA players to ever dominate the league. And it's from The Athletic's foremost basketball writers. We're talking Hall of Famer David Aldridge. We're talking John Hollinger and the entire Athletic crew. I know we all have a copy of this. This thing's big.
Oh, it's chunky.
It's a chunky read, but it's fantastic. Every chapter on, again, the top 100 players in NBA history. So go hit that link if you want to pick up something, maybe for yourself even, for the holiday season.
I've got mine sitting in my house right now. Mm-hmm. Haven't cracked it open because I'm thinking, should I re-gift it? Should I re-gift this? I know some basketball fans out there.
Yeah?
But it looks too nice.
Yeah,
the beautiful
I know.
orange? I'm going to start reading it, unfortunately.
I was going to say, you could read it and then re-gift it for next year's holiday season.
Now we're talking.
Because it's a big
Now
book.
we're
It's
talking.
over 700 pages, I
People
believe.
will have forgotten that I mentioned it on the podcast by then. I love it.
Yeah.
This is great.
Hopefully the top 100 stays the same.
yeah. Wemby, I hope he doesn't crack his way in the next year.
Okay, let's start recapping last night's action with a little What You Got. What you got? It was the night of returns, guys. Kristaps Porzingis made his season debut after undergoing off-season leg surgery. He finished with 16 points in 23 minutes as the Celtics crushed the Clippers 126-94. And then John Morant also made an immediate impact with the Grizzlies in his return after missing about 3 weeks of action with the hip and pelvic muscle injuries. He scored 20 of his 22 points in the first half, added 11 assists in a big win. So, Task, get us started here. The more impressive return from just these two guys, Porzingis, John Morant, who you got?
Injuries are dead. First off, that's great. That's great news.
They're
all gone.
over?
Yeah, all of them. Everybody's
Injuries off.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I would say Kristaps was more impressive just because the way they went about it. Joe Mazzulla had a plan for Kristaps Porzingis. You are shooting every single time. That's literally how they started. They started with the pick and pop first possession. Kristaps shoots it. Second possession, Kristaps shoots it, and it was a deep. These are deep. I think these are more of a plan for the future here for the Boston Celtics. This guy's going to be shooting, and he's going to be shooting them extremely deep, nowhere close to the 3-point line for those first 2 possessions. Then the next possession, it was a great Ty Lue recovery here. Ty Lue said to his players, "Go double that man," and they got it out of his hands. Amir Coffey, nice steal, and then Kristaps again, 4 possessions. Then the next one he came down and shot it again. He shot 3 times. That guy just kept shooting, and literally he didn't stop. The first 5 shots for the Celtics were threes, 4 of them for Porzingis the first 3 minutes, and this Celtics team was absolutely scorching because of the space that Kristaps provides. We know that this team shoots more threes than any other team in the NBA, and they got up there in this game to shoot 51. They're by far and away the first highest team that shoots threes in this game. And I love the way they play behind Kristaps, who was smiling everywhere.
Yes.
He was very happy boy last night, wasn't he?
Yeah. And when I got to visit the White House, JD, we talked about it. Kristaps Porzingis was behind President Biden listening to the speech. He couldn't stop smiling. I've never seen Kristaps smile as much. But then yesterday, because Joe Mazzulla was calling for him to shoot over and over and over again, he was also extremely smiley. And the chemistry he had with Jaylen Brown, I thought, early in this game, where Jaylen Brown set him up for a beautiful alley-oop. Jaylen Brown was into this game, I thought, more so than other games. He was
Also
playing
smiley.
Yeah, he was.
Those guys are tight.
Yeah.
Those two. Apparently they carpool together.
Yeah.
Cookies and cream.
Yep.
What was the so the Celtics broadcasters
Yeah.
were saying these guys apparently they carpool to the airport and back because they live in the same building.
Yep.
What's the cookies and cream part?
That's their nickname.
Just nickname.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
Who do you think is cream?
I wonder.
I have an idea.
Apparently, Kristaps likes Spanish EDM. He likes house music.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if that was a
Spain.
joke or not on
I
the
don't think so.
broadcast.
I mean,
I can believe it.
I would stop
played in Spain.
carpooling, I think, with that guy if that's all we were listening to in the car ride.
Maybe the airport ride is 1 minute. I don't know.
But right next to it.
But they were super pumped. And literally, I do think Joe Mazzulla is going to stretch this defenses that come play them as much as possible. Kristaps, you were going to go way out. Yeah. So to see that was pretty impressive, how pumped they were together. And again, over 53s, by far and away the most in the league. And it's only going to get further with Kristaps Porzingis because he can extend it further than Al Horford, who didn't play in this game. And see that, that was smooth. That was extremely smooth, and they were pumped. If you got to win a championship, if you're the Boston Celtics, you're going to do it for that guy because he didn't play as much last year, although he won it. Whatever. They just need a reason.
It does feel like the rich get richer here. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
When you saw him in the lineup, you're like, okay, their one big issue is rim protection. So now they got one of the best guys in the league in rim protecting. They were one of the best teams last year when Porzingis was in there. This year it's fallen off a cliff. They're like 20th ranked rim defensive team in the league. And now you have him in there. They get 11 blocks last night. And he deters a bunch of shots too. He's huge. In addition to him also being able to stretch the floor like every Celtics player, just fire away from three. Like they went 12 of 17 in the second quarter from distance.
Yeah, Porzingis I actually thought looked super rusty. 1 for 6 from 3. He was getting the wide open looks. He said post game, it's like, I can shoot a 3 every time down the court when they're playing drop. Like there's no way Zubats is going to be able to close from the free throw line to 2 feet out on a 7'3" guy. So he just couldn't make him. 1 for 6, but a couple of blocks, pretty good. Can't even jump right now. He said post game, my vertical is a flat tire. And there are times you see Jaylen Brown throw him an alley-oop and it's like, you're dunking it as the ball is coming down because you're 7'3" and you're the tallest guy out there. So I think he's going to get better, but I do like that he has a ton of confidence coming back from injury. 11 points in the first 7 minutes of that finals game 1 when he came back from injury. This one, he's just chucking threes right away as if he hadn't missed any time. I like when he tried the spin move. Chris Dunn ripped him. I was like, you're going to have to relearn a little bit of getting up to NBA speed here, but that was impressive from the Celtics. 51 points in the second quarter, 12 threes. Kevin Porter Jr., man, this guy had 6 of the first 7 threes in that quarter on him. And then he got yanked. Very funny considering how many podcasts were talking up the Clippers defense yesterday, us included. I know the NBA Daily got Law Murray on because they're like, Clippers are on a roll. They're playing well here. And then they go and give up 126 points and got completely smacked. It wasn't even close because of the 3-point shooting from the Celtics. They took more threes in the first half than the Clippers did in the entire game.
Yeah. And then they slowed down in the second half, but they were really pushing the pace in the first half, which was impressive to me. They had something to play for. in the way they were pushing it every single possession. I thought just watching them, that was probably the best half I've seen this season. You could go back. I'm surprised that they kind of slowed down in the second half, but yes, the Clippers on a late night back-to-back, which kind of hurt, as opposed to the Celtics running back-to-back, but an afternoon back-to-back. They were ready to play the second half. I mean, it's an excuse for them, but the Clippers haven't seen an offense like this, even though they are a damn good defense.
That's exactly
the excuse. The Celtics are much better.
Yes, I was going to say,
the rest.
No matter what team it is in the league, if they rack up a 4, 5, 6 game win streak, schedule makers should immediately then put the Celtics on the schedule to see, is it legit? How real are you? That's where we're at. Like, they looked great. Their defense was elite. We talked about it, like you said on yesterday's show. And then they play the Celtics and they get waxed. And it's like, oh yeah, there are levels to this thing. And the Celtics, man, I saw this from Statitudes. This is the 5th time in the last 6 games the Celtics have made 20 or more three-pointers. No other team in NBA history has produced over that 6-game stretch to hit 5 games where you hit 20 or more threes. So, like, this is the MO. And again, now they just add their biggest, giantest dude, but also shoots threes. And from even further distance, like you said, to stretch the floor even more and open it up even more for guys to operate. And then he gives them defense. So, yeah, they looked good. That was good. What about John Morant, though? Also didn't, no slouch in his return.
No, not a slouch. It didn't look like he missed the game either. He looked like he was floating with that dunk where he peeled it back, and he was pushing the pace. Another team that they kind of play like a college team. They went 11 deep. They're one of the fastest teams in the NBA, and for John Morant to be able to participate in that just shows, the injuries are dead. But to be able to just pass to everybody to not only get 11 assists in 23 minutes of play, great stuff, but the 10 free throws that he had means that he is absolutely pushing it to wherever he wants on the floor. So, yeah, he'll go under the radar because the Celtics did what they did and tied the record for threes in a quarter, as they are bound to do. And I think we'll get to the Knicks and how they warrant some love in the Eastern Conference standings and how they're real close in terms of offensive output so far this season. But, Ja looked as good as Kristaps, that's for sure.
Oh, he looked much better than Kristaps. Ja looked like John Morant again, right away. 22 points, 11 assists, only two turnovers. You mentioned he was floating. He had the huge dunk, somehow only an 87.5 on the dunk score. Yeah. Only a 69.4 on style. Yeah. We got to talk to the people in charge here. But he looked like the best athlete on the court. He looked like he was in complete control, passing, like taking one extra dribble, getting wide open shots. All 11 of his assists were for either layups, dunks, or three-pointers. He had that beautiful one to Brandon Clark behind the back underneath the hoop. He's just manipulating the pick and roll to get alley-oops at the rim. He looked incredible. And the Grizzlies, I think, a little bit of a sleeping giant here. They're 7th in offense, 5th in defense, 6th in net rating right now, and I think their three-point shooting is better than it was when they were winning 50 games a couple of years ago. They're only 20th in three-point rate, so they don't take a ton of them, but they're 16th in percentage, 15 in makes. That's going to get it done because Bane is going to get better from 3. He's only shooting 32% right now. Jaren Jackson Jr. seems to have found his jumper again. He's at 38. Then guys like Jay Huff's at 45. Jalen Wells, 40. Jake LaRavia, 38. Maybe those fall off a little bit here, but they seem a little bit more reliable from outside than they have in previous seasons. So they held the fort with Ja out, Scottie Pippen Jr. running things. Yeah. Now Ja is back, looking awesome, the best highlight guy in the league. You're getting 2 or 3 highlights every single time Ja Morant takes the court. I thought he was awesome last night. Yeah,
we were throwing around the idea for Little Pip for Scottie Pippen Jr. yesterday, and a lot of people in the comments section, even Ben Gulliver, texting me to say, Pipsqueak. It's
Beautiful.
Right there.
Beautiful.
It is good. Now, I will say, Little Pip sounds more positive than Pipsqueak does, which has a negative connotation to it, but Pipsqueak is good, too, for being the tinier Pippen.
Mm-hmm. It's a better nickname, but it's a bit of a pejorative for sure.
Yeah.
You're a squeak. I mean, you look like you're just a little mouse.
Yeah. It's almost an insult.
Right. It's also an insult, whereas Little Pip sounds more, that sounds like, you sound like a rapper, I guess, in that sense.
A great nickname or a great term for something watching the Grizzlies, there was a Huff stuff when Jay Huff blocks shots. But as Trey was alluding to, this team just plays so fast and so hard. Taylor Jenkins deserves some love, just how deep he goes into that bench, like Jay Huff and Mr. Pipsqueak. I mean, they are guys that come out and play fast. And so, you forget. I forget. We all forgot when John Morant missed most of last year how freaking good and how many of the highlights he takes. And you kind of forget that even after a couple weeks. You just turn on that game and, oh, my God. he is the highlight maker in this NBA.
He's must watch. And they've won 3 in a row now, the Grizzlies have. They have the Pistons up next this week. On Friday, then they play the Pelicans, so could extend that to 5 straight, and then another home game even in the Pacers, with the Pacers coming to town on December 1st. So then once they get to 5 or 6 straight wins, then you got to put the Celtics on their schedule and see if they're for real. But good stuff from both Porzingis and Ja Morant. All right, next one. Jaden Ivey hit a tough baseline jumper as time expired to give the Pistons the 102-100 victory over the Raptors last night. Huge shot by Ivey. And then later last night, Dennis Schroder led the shorthanded Nets back from an 18-point deficit to beat the Warriors 128-120. Schroder led the way, 31 points, 7 assists. He had 17 points in the fourth quarter. And that was in spite of, again, a lot of guys out or then leaving this game. Cam Thomas had to leave in the third quarter. I think Cam Johnson also left this one as well. So it was the Schroder show. I want to know, TK, get us started here. King of the clutch last night. Is it Jaden Ivey or Dennis Schroder?
King of the clutch, I got to go with Jaden Ivey. I think maybe you could give Schroder king of the fourth quarter for this one, the way he went for 17. But I was super impressed with the way Ivey took over being the fastest guy on the court, I thought, in the fourth quarter against the Raptors. In the last 3 minutes, he assisted on a three-pointer to Tim Hardaway Jr. that tied things up. Next time down, draws a foul. Only went 1 for 2 at the line. We're living with it. Next time down, Davion Mitchell misses a layup, full-court layup for Jaden Ivey. Flying down the court. The Raptors miss another 3. He gets full court, dishes it to Asar Thompson. He smokes a layup. The Raps were missing a lot of layups in the fourth quarter, and every time the Pistons were running it back down their throats. That was pretty sweet for Detroit. And then the game winner for Ivey. He waited forever. They inbounded the ball with 22 seconds. Yeah. He doesn't start his move to the rim until there's 3 seconds left, but it was enough time to get up the Derrick Rose-style shot. Off the right foot with the right hand floater from the baseline. Incredible shot from him. Most impressive thing for the Pistons. 0 turnovers in crunch time of this game. They are 29th in turnovers during clutch time so far this season. So to see them actually execute, I thought was pretty great.
Yeah. It was an incredible move, but I couldn't digest it watching the Raptors the last couple minutes. They were so bad. They were allowing the Pistons to fast break after shots by the Raptors. They had 4 fast breaks the last 2 minutes of this game. 2 minutes. You have to have floor balance, but they did not have that. And I think part of it is they're just going through Scotty Barnes, and they don't have their starting point guard. And I think that is something that has been hurting them the entire season. Emmanuel Quickley has barely played this season. And literally, it was just going through Scotty Barnes and not knowing where to go. Not having the floor balance. And it started at the beginning of this game. Rajakovic had to call 2 timeouts in the first 6 minutes of this game because they were not playing defense. And they turned it on as Malik Beasley was doing his little shimmy dance. Scotty Barnes hit his 3 and responded exactly with that same shimmy dance.
It was like a dance-off.
Yeah, it was a dance-off. It literally was. It literally copied it. I mean, so it felt like the Raptors had it, but you take a shot and you literally can't get back on defense over and over and over. It was terrible, but Jaden Ivey, after watching it a few times, I was able to digest it. Felt like at first I was at Olive Garden. I can't digest anything, but then that was the Derrick Rose comparison is a good one.
Yeah.
They threw out Ochai Agbaji on him, who was a great athlete, but he just had enough space to be able to just float it, push it over.
He just lulled Agbaji to sleep. You're like, you said he was out there so long.
Right, he's going to be taking a jumper,
He must have been like, what's he doing? Is he going to go or not? But yeah, hell of a shot. He scored 25 points, Ivey did, 10 to 13 shooting, the 8 assists. Yeah, played really smart, under control basketball, especially down the stretch where, you said it there, TK, like the thing that's really haunted the Pistons a lot this year is in the clutch, in close games, just silly turnovers. Yep. A lot of the times it's Cade Cunningham, like just with boneheaded turnovers. Now he's not playing in this game. He's been great for them, but down the stretch has like faltered at times. But that was nice, clean at least in terms of not turning the ball over. This was a sort of an ugly game in terms of shot making. Man, the Raptors missed some gimmies there, I thought, down the end. But they got it done. The Pistons did. We've had 4 game-winning buzzer beaters this season. 2 of them have happened against the Raptors. Tatum, where he traveled and hit the 3, and then this one. And then can you name the other buzzer beaters we've had? Not against the Raps, but one against the Pistons. I think it was a tip-in.
Brandon Miller.
There you go. Yeah. And then that was the first one of the year. And then the second one happened right after Tatum. I think it was the next night. And there was controversy of whether or not the guy pushed off or not. And there was a bit of a flop going on.
I remember the play.
Julius Randle against the Suns.
They said no flop. It was actually a travel.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
That was because we had a bunch of game winners that all shouldn't have counted.
That's right. That's right. So Miller,
Love
Tatum,
basketball.
Randle, and now Ivy are your 4 game-winning buzzer beaters. Raps fall to 2-8 in games decided by 6 points or less, and are now 4-14. They're 0-10 on the road. Tass believes they're the greatest 4-14 team in NBA history. Yeah.
I'll go with it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this look. I know our WhatsApp chat's like the Raptors fans in it. What a season! This is the perfect season. These games are entertaining. We're always in them, but we're always losing. Capture the flag. So that's where a lot of the Raptors fan base is at, I think. Some of these guys, some of the young promising, like the bench players played well last night for the Raps. There's promise there, but there's not a lot of victories, nor will there be.
Yeah.
And it's not just on quickly missing. There's a lot of teams missing guys.
Okay, yeah.
They just can't score. They can't shoot.
Scotty Barnes missed a huge chunk of the season. They're a top-heavy team, and when your top-heavy guys don't play,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's an excuse, for sure. Either way, let's give a little love. Asar Thompson, great to see him back.
Yes.
And also, I mean, Schroder setting up guys in that game over and over and over. To have 9 guys hit threes on that team. The Warriors now losing 2 in a row because the other team was just shooting threes. To be able to shoot 44% for 3 for the Nets, I don't know if the Warriors are looking forward to an OKC game on Wednesday. That's just an excuse. They lost 2 in a row, but I am looking forward to Warriors versus OKC on Wednesday, that's for sure.
Good win from the Nets. They're up to 8-10, man. You said Taylor Jenkins deserves some Coach of the Year love? Absolutely, Jordy Fernandez does with what he's getting out of this squad. He's got to be on the short list. Just one note about the Pistons I saw from Detroit Bad Boys. Detroit's 8th win of the season means the team could lose its next 31 games and still be ahead of last season's pace. Mm-hmm. So much better than last year.
Don't tempt them.
Hold my beer.
The Pistons are better, man. I need Dennis Schroder to play for the Magic.
Yeah.
He needs to go there. 17 points in the fourth quarter, 4 assists, only a couple of turnovers, but he just does everything. Like, Schroder literally does everything. Off the dribble threes, he's got it. Catch and shoot threes, he can knock them down. He was scoring off drives. He was scoring off cuts. The playmaking was nice. He's got the Germanic connection with both Wagners. Like, he needs to go there. That's a trade that needs to happen, and maybe it will going on. But if you're giving Jordy Fernandez Coach of the Year votes for an 8-10 team,
hell yeah,
you are a sicko.
Yeah,
absolute sicko. Absolute homer right there. I think.
Why am I a homer? Because he coaches Team Canada?
Yeah. Yeah, they're 8-10, bro.
Canadian, yeah.
They're 8-10. No D'Anthony Melton, I thought, was a factor for the Warriors here, because Schroder was having no problems with Payton, Podziemski, or Curry if they got on him. All those guys are like basically the same size as D'Anthony Melton, but D'Anthony Melton has like a foot longer wingspan than any of them. So it was easy for Schroder. He'd just get a bump, finish over the top of him. Bad loss, I thought, for the Warriors.
Next one, OG Anunoby scored a career-high 40 points. Jalen Brunson had 17 of New York's team record-tying 45 assists, as the Knicks rode a very hot start to the 145-118 rout of the Nuggets. Michael Malone was real mad. Don't call him Mike. In Indy, Tyrese Halliburton was back looking like his old self, I thought, to lead the Pacers past the shorthanded Pelicans 114-100. CJ McCollum, who did return, he had 23 points. He looked solid. But Elfrid Payton dished out a career-high 21 assists, the most in an NBA game this season. So the what you got, Tass's bigger surprise from like cherry picking some stats here from these games. OG's 40 points, career high, or Elfrid Payton's 21 assists. What you got?
The Elfrid Payton 21 assists. If you go watch these assists, there's a lot of them that are pass it, dribble, dribble, dribble. You get an assist. That is too lenient. Those aren't assists.
True, but I thought 10 of them were legit table setters. I went and watched all of them too, because I always want to know, like, of the 21, how many of these are just like give it to a guy, he hits a three, or like you said, give it to a guy who then dribble, 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 and then scores. About half of them were.
Yeah.
But half of them were like cutting back door to guys,
cooking.
a bunch of oops to Missy. Like, there were some good ones in here.
Elfrid can pass.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. I will say, throughout the NBA, there are a lot of assists that are given out pretty leniently. Sure, you can have. But I would say, like, John Morant had 11 assists. They look like assists. So when I compare assists, when you look at the raw number of assists, guys, assists per game, I feel like it's always pushed a little bit. But, you know, if a guy's got more assists than another guy, since it's lenient to every single guy, I think it applies. I think it's totally fine. That being said, I was surprised to see OG Anunoby a little bit more so, watching him score the way he scored. Now, his first bucket, I think, which got him going, was way too easy. He had Michael Porter Jr. on him, and he literally got into, it was a 13-foot shot. It looked like he was in practice. It looked like he had an open gym. Michael Porter Jr. just left, gone. So he took his time and hit a shot, and then that got him going. But to see the way he cut and the way he was playing off this offense, it's just what I was saying earlier about this New York Knicks team. They know how to work each other. And OG was doing that off of cuts. It wasn't just going through him at all. He was being a secondary, tertiary offensive player. So I thought that was extremely impressive to be able to, yes, the Nuggets weren't trying to allow the New York Knicks 145 points, shoot on 60%. There's no doubt about that. It was a bad effort. But the Knicks offense is the second best offense in the NBA for a reason. They know how to play off each other. They can't wait for their best defensive player and Mitchell Robinson, their best defensive big, I should say, to come back. So that side actually bodes well and looks like a real team. But right now, they're great offensively. So I haven't seen that kind of OG.
It's crazy to see in the box score OG Anunoby with 23 shot attempts. I will say that.
Yeah.
And obviously on a high percentage with the 40. Karl-Anthony Towns in a monster game too. He barely missed. Outplayed Jokic, for being honest, in this one. And then all the assists, like I said, in the setup. Which one you going here, though? OG's 40 or Payton's 21 dimes?
Also 23 points and 17 assists for Jalen Brunson. OG, that was pretty impressive. I heard our guy Will Liu on the Hello and Welcome podcast saying that if you watch a Jakob Poeltl 30-point game, you'll see 0 highlights.
Right.
This was a 40.0 highlight game from OG Anunoby. I was like, the perfect OG Anunoby kind of game. He's not a very loquacious guy when it comes to talking, very monotone, and that's the way he plays basketball. The dunks were simple, sometimes a two-hander, usually just a one-hander. The jumper, if it was open, I'm knocking it down or walking into an easy one off a pump fake like Tass was saying. Had some tough and ones, but I was like, this is a pretty by-the-book 40-point game for OG Anunoby. He had 20 in the first half on 8 made shots, 20 in the second half on 8 made shots. That was crazy to me. But yeah, I thought it was cool for OG Anunoby, and man, the Knicks offense is absolutely cooking right now. OG Anunoby is the wing who is a good scorer. I thought it was going to be Mikal Bridges, but OG seems to have superseded him in the pecking order. On the other side, though, I love to see an elf giving out gifts during the holiday season.
Good call.
And I think some of those were legit, because Miles Turner was getting very upset. And he kept throwing alley-oops over his head. Oh, come on, man.
It happened like 4 times.
It happened literally 4 times, and I think maybe everyone was Obi Toppin should have been the guy helping.
I think you're right.
And he wasn't.
Yeah. No, I could see why Miles Turner was frustrated, because, he's getting put in the high pick and roll, and then he's like, is anybody going to, help me on the back line here? I got some trivia off the Elfrid Payton, 21 times. We've had 5 guys with 20 or more assists in a game since the 22-23 season. So not going back too far.
Yeah.
Can you name the other 4 now that Elfrid Payton is on the list?
Well, I know Tyrese Halliburton is one, because I looked up. He was the last player to have a 20-assist game. He had 20 and I think 24 assists. 23 in back-to-back games.
That's right. Halliburton has done it twice.
Sick.
So Tyrese is one of them.
Is there a Harden in there?
Yeah, that's right. James Harden has done it twice.
Since what year?
22-23.
Oh, wow.
And then 2 more guys.
Is he a local boy?
He is a local boy.
Trey.
Trae Young has 1 game of 20 or more assists. And then 1 more guy. This is the toughest one. Though Tass might remember the game.
Darius Garland?
No. Tass might remember it more than
off.
TK would. Let's put it that way. He
Emmanuel
played for the
Quickley.
Toronto Raptors. And he did it in 2023, April 23.
Fred VanVleet.
There you go. Fred VanVleet had 20 assists against the Hornets. Payton also became the 4th player in Pelicans history to record a 20-assist game. You want to keep the trivia going? Who did he join? Pelicans
20-assist game. Rondo.
Correct. He has the record,
Nice.
25 in a game in 2017. 2 other guys have done it.
True? Holiday?
No, not True Holiday.
Does Chris Paul have New Orleans stats?
Chris Paul has done it twice, my friend. This one, the toughest one. A UCLA Bruin, I believe.
But not Drew Holiday.
Justin Holiday.
No, no, not Holiday. I have to fact check myself.
UCLA Bruin.
Yeah, I thought I had it. I thought I had it with the Holiday.
Aaron Aflalo?
No.
He's not a passer. Who else was a
Yeah,
passer?
okay.
Johnny Juzang? He never played for them.
Yeah, Kevin Love didn't play for them. Russell Westbrook.
This guy
didn't play
played.
for them.
I'll give you the teams this guy played for. He played for. He did it. Wow, he must have done it as a rookie. Then he played for the Pacers.
Darren Collison.
There you go.
That's who I was thinking.
Nice, yeah.
Oh,
Teammates.
gosh.
Yeah.
What a... I call him... Yeah. Yeah. Nice mistake.
So Payton became the 4th player in Pelicans history to record a 20-assist game. Chris Paul twice. Darren Collison, Rondo.
You mentioned Halliburton. You started off the top. Seeing Halliburton go
Yeah.
9 of 18 from three-point land. What? He's back, baby. I guess. I mean, he was...
That was Halliburton of old.
That is a lot of threes to take. He must have been. He has always felt like it's going in. It looks like when you watch him, he feels like it's coming back. Maybe it has.
Maybe it has. They got the win for sure. Final one here in what you got. Here in Atlanta, Kyrie Irving's big second half led the Mavericks past the Hawks 129-119. Atlanta's 3rd straight loss. And then over in California, SGA had 37 points and the Thunder's bench combined for 40 in a 130-109 win over Sacramento that extended the Kings' losing streak to 4. Trey, more disappointing losing streak right now. Hawks losing 3 straight or Kings losing 4 straight? What you got?
I had to go look at the streaks to make sure. The Hawks, 3 straight losses. The Warriors, the Bulls, the Mavericks, all finals contenders. The Kings losses, the Thunder, the Nets, the Clippers, and what? The Hawks. They lost to the Hawks.
They did.
Well, there you go. Gotta be the Kings. They lost to the Hawks and the Nets. I would say they probably have the 2 worst losses of these 7 in the mix. And you're not upset that they lost to the Thunder. The Thunder are going to beat the Kings. The Thunder have a great defense, but they made the Kings offense look really bad. This was a pretty close game through 3 quarters. It was 79-78 OKC with 5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. They finished things on a 51-31 run, and it just felt like they completely turned off the offense for the Kings. So I think that's a concern because right now the Kings are 12th in offense, and in their last 4 games, they've scored 108, 88, 103, and 109. Those are some pretty low numbers for a Kings team that was cooking to start the year. They're only 16th in defense. They're not good enough on the offensive end to come back. Then I go away and I'm like, okay, so what's happening here? They take the 3rd fewest shots within 10 feet. They're ahead of Phoenix and Boston. Phoenix and Boston, those are good offenses.
Teams.
What's the difference? Three-pointers, man. 19th in three-point attempt rate for Sacramento, 28th in threes made per game. During the losing streak, they're shooting 44% from the field, 31% from 3. Basically, they got to hit mid-range jumpers to score efficiently, and that's a tough way to live because they're 29th in fast break points, 17th in points in the paint. They're a mid-range jump shooting team right now, and that can look good when you're hitting, but when you're not hitting, you lose games like this one. So disappointing, I think, for the Kings. They're 4-7 in clutch games right now, despite having 2 of the better clutch players in the league in Fox and DeRozan. Somehow they have a +10 net rating in the clutch. Doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how are they that good, but also losing these games? I was on NBA.com/stats in the clutch section, sorting by like every possible breakdown. I'm like, 5 minutes left. Okay, they're a +10. 1 minute left. They're a +30. 30 seconds left. They're a +50. But they've lost more games than they've won in the clutch. I don't know what happened. They must have had one weird blowout win in the clutch or something like that.
Size.
But the Kings, it just doesn't look great. Their bench has been pretty bad. It was good to get Malik Monk back, but I haven't been impressed with them. And I think the losing streak right now has got Kings fans like, oh man.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't improved since our good run 2 years ago, really.
Yeah, they don't have an identity like that team 2 years ago has, where they were rolling offensively. They're the best team in the league offensively. And now they're struggling. Now, Mike Brown said, all right, let's switch this up, pulling Kevin Huerter out of the starting lineup, putting Keon Ellis back in, who was there last year. And because Kevin Huerter just hasn't been able to hit offensively this year, and he's been a solid player before in his career, obviously a good shooter, and solid enough defensively. So they're just trying to find something because Mike Brown was talking about it. Their defense, the stats are bonkers, really. Coming into this game, they're the 25th best defense in the first half, but then they turn it on in the second half. We're the 6th best defense. But in this little run here, the offense has been extremely poor. You're talking about the three-point shooting. Yeah, they finished the second half 1 of 13 in that second half shooting the 3 ball, so 7% versus OKC. And you go back against the Nets, a 15-point fourth quarter. You go back against the Clippers, a 29-point first half. So they have just lost their identity, period. Full stop. They just don't know who they are. And it obviously hurts they're in the Western Conference to lose these games. Now they have a bunch of home games coming up shortly, soon enough, which will help. But yeah, they just don't know who they are. That's the thing. They should be better than everybody else offensively, but when Kevin Huerter wasn't in there to get it going, then they really don't know who they are.
I love comparing these two teams in this What You Got, the Hawks and the Kings. There's so many similarities where you're like, you should be better. And you just consistently cannot play consistent for 48 minutes. That to me like is the thing that jumps out to these two squads. Like they look good for quarters and then complete garbage. And if you look at the worst shooting teams from three-point land in the NBA, you know, it's the Raptors, it's the Wizards, it's the Kings, the Rockets, the Blazers, the 76ers, and Magic. And of that list of teams I just gave you, who's good? The two teams that actually play defense. That keeps them afloat. That keeps them in games. I'm talking about the Rockets and the Magic, of course, and that's the Kings' problem. So it's like if the shots aren't falling, they don't have a chance because they can't stop anybody. Despite, I guess, improving their numbers in the second half. But like, okay, so you're playing from behind most of the time. It's like, it's just frustrating. And yeah, Kings fans are definitely getting to that point like, oh, what is going on here? You know, we make this move for DeRozan, and we should be much better in the clutch. Like, why can't we hit a shot? Because I think for the first couple of weeks, it was like, okay, we can't hit a three to save our lives. But, you know, that'll come back to the mean. Like, we can't shoot this poorly for the entire season, but it's like now we're hitting, like, you know, week 4 or 5 here. It's like nobody can hit a three. Like, it's Huerter, it's Trey Lyles. It's like everybody out there is struggling. So frustrating. And then the Hawks, you know, just to, you know, pour a little crap on them as well. They had basically their full complement of players. And 2 days of rest against this Mavericks team last night that was coming off a back-to-back in Miami in overtime, and they still can't beat them with a team without Luka too. It's like it's pretty embarrassing as well for them to like let go of the rope in that game as well. So I don't want to let them off the hook.
Yeah, got them. 21st in offense, 20th in defense. Here's the game plan if you're playing against the Hawks. Get the ball out of Trey's hands and let anybody else try and make a play. Jalen Johnson's usage is way up. He's putting up stats, but it's not having a big effect. Trae Young is leading the league in assists right now, and it's because people have figured out if anybody else has the ball, we'll live with it. Like, We'll see what happens. Then obviously they can't play defense on the other end. We were watching on playback last night, and the broadcast was just asking him to mix in a stop. Not like get a few stops here to go on a run. They're like, just get one. Literally one. It's like, you know, it's Thanksgiving week. Maybe have a salad for lunch today.
Yeah.
So you're hungry on Thursday.
And I feel like every time they said that on the broadcast, it was a Mavericks layup at the rim.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Hardy. Usually Hardy.
Yeah, usually Hardy. So frustrating losing streaks for both the Hawks and the Kings. Okay, let's get to some news here. Rockets guard Fred VanVleet fined $50,000 by the NBA yesterday for confronting and directing profane language toward the officiating staff in Houston's loss to the Blazers. Now, VanVleet nearly touched the face of a ref while pointing at him as he walked off the floor. We wondered, well, is that going to be enough to get him maybe a game suspension? In the end, only $50K, dare I say. I think he got off not bad here for pointing at everybody and, again, nearly bopping the ref in the nose.
Yeah, a real lenient number would be like $30K. But 50K does seem gentle and kind. I wonder if it will be gentle and kind enough to give each of the ref a third. Each each guy that was pointed to should get 16,600 a third.
Wow.
A third, split it up. 16,666 and 66 cents to each referee. You get a third, you get a third.
That's
and you
a dangerous slope, my man. You want to like give the money to the refs? They're going to start tossing everybody left and right. Like stepping to them. Come on, man.
It is dangerous. But so was that finger when you look at it. I mean, it was close. It was close to one nose. Not all three noses.
No, just one.
But yeah, it was 50, I guess, makes sense in this case.
Do you think Fred got off pretty leniently here?
Yeah, I do. I'm surprised he wasn't suspended for at least a game. I think I've been interacting with too many Rockets tweets because I got a lot of Rockets fans on my For You page, and everyone was saying, Fred, you're a legend. Didn't get suspended for that kind of a rant? And that doesn't happen very often. But I guess I don't think Oubre did get suspended for his.
Yeah, you were looking that up. Yeah,
I don't think he did because all I could find out was him getting suspended in like 2017 or something like that. So it must not have happened.
If his finger touches his nose,
totally,
he's definitely getting at least a game. Yeah, you can't boop it.
But no boop, no suspension. And good news for our pick'em game later.
That's true. Yes, VanVleet should be playing. Next piece of news here. Pelicans guard Dejounte Murray plans to make his return from a fractured hand Wednesday against the Raptors. NBA reporter Chris Haynes reported this on Monday. Murray suffered a fractured left hand in his debut with the Pelicans in New Orleans' opening night win against the Bulls, but he has not played since. So good news here for the Pels. I mean, they got McCollum back, who, we glossed over, but did look okay in his first game in a while, and Dejounte should be back on Wednesday, Trey.
Yeah, good. Let's see what he can do, because Tass is telling me that the Raptors are the best 4-14 team in the league. Because the Pelicans are 4-14, and this is not the way you would want to be 4-14. Losing close games at the end when you're playing for ping pong balls, that's the way to do it. Losing all of your players, starting with the guy you brought in the summer within the first game, that is not the way to go 4-14. So we'll see if he can elevate them at all. The Pelicans are 27th in offense this year. We just talked about Elfrid Payton having a huge game. So I imagine we're going to see some big-time Dejounte Murray stats here, because they'll have the ball and a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and not only are they 27th on offense, but they're one of the worst teams defensively. They're 29th in defense. That's strange when you think about the Pelicans and what they were last year.
Yeah.
So who are these guys? They really don't have an identity on that end. They were able to play hard for Willie Green, and I'm not sure that happens at all anymore. I mean, the injuries are part of it, that's for sure, but I'm not sure Dejounte Murray is the answer on that end of the floor.
So this is interesting, though, because you did say the Raps might be the greatest 4-14 in NBA history
Sure.
team, but they're playing another 4-14 in the Pelicans on Wednesday night.
Oh.
So do the Raps need to win that game for you that to still be true, or actually to lose it in a competitive way?
Great question.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really...
Like, I know the record will change regardless. It won't be
Yeah.
4-14, but it's like, yeah, do they win it to really prove your point, or do they lose it?
They gotta win.
At the buzzer.
They gotta win. I think they do have to win, because they are a better, both an offensive team and defensive team than the New Orleans Pelicans.
Okay.
Now you can say, oh, Zion's not there.
Yeah.
Zion's obviously going to miss that game, and you can draw up some problems on either side till you're right in the face, because I do think it is an issue that they don't have Emmanuel Quickley, who is one of their top three. That being said, they play hard for Rajakovic on the defensive end especially, and Scotty looks damn good offensively when he doesn't miss shots. So, yes, they have to win. They have to win, whatever that means. I'm not sure they look damn good. Like you said, they lose close games at the end. That's a problem where they just don't have a great ball handler, just a great runner of their offense.
Scotty Barnes is their point guard, though.
Yes, they need.
I'm not saying Quickly wouldn't help, but I don't know. They'd have two more
literally,
runs.
yeah. They're getting run 5-on-4 yesterday, or 4-on-3 yesterday.
Yeah.
That was sad. That's high school basketball, when guys just aren't in the right spots.
True.
How about this, Tass? Jazz are 4-12. If they lose their next two games, where did they slot into the all-time rankings? 4-14 teams. I did see that teams after playing the Jazz and losing to the Jazz, they've only won 4 games. Teams are 3-1 in their next game after losing to the Jazz. All 3 blowout wins. The only loss, the Chicago Bulls got blown out by the Mavs.
Damn.
Yeah.
Raptors.
So if you lose to the Jazz, you're going to win your next game.
Well, bodes well. All right. Final piece of news here. Bucks superstar Giannis and Spurs forward Harrison Barnes were named the NBA Players of the Week for Week 5. I'm sorry, that shocked me. Harrison Barnes, but maybe deservedly getting it in the Western Conference in 3 starts. Barnes helped lead the Spurs to a 3-0 record against the Thunder, Jazz, and Warriors. He averaged 22.3 points, 8.7 boards, shot the snot out of the ball, 62% from the field. He was 9 of 15 from deep on the week. And in 100 minutes of play across the 3 games, Barnes had 0 turnovers. So, Harry Bo getting it. Like, this is Giannis's, I want to say this is like the 24th or 25th time he's won Player of the Week. But Barnes, in his 13th season as a pro, he just set an NBA record. For the latest into a career, a player has won a Player of the Week award for the first time. Do you know who he beat? You know, the 2 guys that had done it in their 12th NBA season? 2 guards. You guys already named one of them when we were doing trivia. It was incorrect.
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday did it in his 12th NBA season, and this guy who
was an all-star
for a time was considered the greatest player to never make an all-star team.
Wait.
No,
Mike Conley.
Mike Conley. They both accompanied accomplished that feat in their 12th NBA seasons. But now Barnes has got it, 13th season. I couldn't believe he hadn't won one. I just thought maybe like somewhere in there he would have grabbed one. I don't know. But good for him.
You're telling me there's not a player in the Western Conference that played better than Harrison Barnes last week? I think they did this for the headlines.
Maybe they were really
getting all those clicks, people saying, whoa, this guy's the oldest player to ever win his first player of the week. You know that's a big clicker, Skeets. He scored 20 a game. I know there was better players. No offense.
They definitely enjoyed the 3-0 record of the Spurs. And one of them, well, two of them. He beat the Thunder and Warriors. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And he just shot really, really well. But you're right. I don't think he was the greatest player for week 5 in the NBA in the West. But hey, deserving in my books. That's what we're.
They better put an asterisk on it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. When they show this in the Hall of Fame, they show every player of the week in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, you can just sit and watch their highlights over time. They gotta have an asterisk.
You know who would love Harrison Barnes right now? The Kings, man. He can hit a shot. He can hit a 3.
They have their own Harrison Barnes. They have Tobias Harris.
What?
Oh, I thought you were going Pistons. My bad. Because I am surprised, actually, that Harrison Barnes played for my fantasy team last week. I thought I was sitting him at times. I just went through my fantasy team.
Well, man, did you win?
No.
Oh.
No, I always win. The name of my team is I Never Lost Fantasy, which is untrue, but I win. That's what I do.
Well, if you have Harry Bowen there last week, you were good.
I did.
All right, good
surprisingly.
For you. All right, NBA Cup action underway tonight. I want to give you a quick sort of rundown of where we stand, basically halfway through a lot of the Cup play. So let's go through the groups really quickly here. East Group A, the Magic and Knicks lead this group. Perfect 2-0 record. And thus, we're at the point where this is going to be decided by that Orlando-New York game on December 3rd. Charlotte, Brooklyn, Philly, you will not be advancing. So it's down to the Magic and the Knicks. Again, that December 3rd game will probably decide this one. So that's sort of fun. Both those teams obviously playing well. In East Group B, another battle of the unbeatens, Milwaukee and Detroit. That'll be on December 3rd as well. And it's likely to decide the group, but not 100%. The Heat losing either of its 2 Cup games this week would remove the ifs from that scenario between that Bucks-Pistons game. Shout out to Hollander for helping me with deciphering this. But the Bucks and Heat play tonight. So very important game on TNT when you're talking Group B. Heat need to win that to keep their hopes alive. If the Bucks win it, then again, we're probably setting up for the Bucks probably going to win this group. But maybe the Heat can play spoiler. They've done it before against the Bucks.
Oh, they have, haven't they? Jimmy Butler's actually playing pretty well recently. But did I see that Detroit's 2-0 with a point differential of +4?
Yes, you did.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Right.
Survive in advance.
Silly in the NBA Cup. East Group C, we are guaranteed to have a one-loss champion in this group. And it seems like it's going to be decided on point differential. As Hollander said with this group, we could have maximum chaos when it comes to the scenarios. Any of the 4 teams could still win it. Hawks, Celtics, Cavs, and Bulls. Chicago obviously has to win tonight against the Wizards, who have not won in a long time. But this one's a bit of a mess and probably will be point differential. So important here in these games for these teams to run up the score if you want to maybe advance.
It'll be very funny if neither the Celtics or Cavaliers advance.
If it's like the Hawks or the Bulls somehow advance.
The Hawks, the Bulls, and the Wizards.
Yeah.
The Celtics and the Cavs have run ramshot over. Is that a word?
Yeah.
I think I actually said it. Roughshod.
Yeah, Ramshot, you said.
Yeah, you said Ramshot. Yeah.
Roughshod over the Eastern Conference. But the Cup's different, baby. I mean, just look at the Pacers. They went to the championship last year. They're already bounced.
Yeah.
New year, new me.
Crazy. West Group A, the Rockets lead this group. They can clinch tonight with a win at Minnesota. So that's an important game. Obviously, Minnie wants to win that to stay alive. I think everybody is technically still alive besides the Kings. Write them off. They're done. Get out of here, Sacramento. So, Rockets in the driver's seat, but I think Minnesota wins tonight, then it's going to be real spicy. This could be a fun group. West Group B. Guys, the Lakers have never lost an NBA Cup game. And they are still unbeaten in this group. But this is a weird one. They cannot clinch unless they win both group games this week. Tonight, they got Phoenix and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. could be back, should be back, I think. And then Friday, the Lakers got to play the Thunder. So this group is far from done. Because if the Lakers drop one of those, things get very complicated. Depends on who they drop it to, but this is a fun group, and this is one we're pretty excited about. I remember when these were announced, Tass.
Yeah, but not a guarantee at all.
No.
For the Houston Rockets. It ain't easy playing against Timberwolves, who need to win a game as well.
And then West Group C. The Warriors have won this group. Oh, there's the little X beside their name, and I love that the Pelicans are already eliminated, like actually eliminated. So Warriors are through to the knockout round. Dallas is in great shape here for the West wild card because they have 2 wins and they have a huge plus 41 point differential right now. That's really going to help their chances. So if the Mavericks beat the Grizzlies at home on December 3rd, they should be advancing as the wild card team here in this group. December 3rd is the point of this story here. Big night. There'll be a lot decided, I think, on that night between a couple of these groups. So
you're
that's a quick
telling me
update.
big games tonight are Milwaukee at Miami, Houston at Minnesota.
Those are the biggest, yeah. And your Bulls got to win to stay alive.
I would love to see a great effort from these guys.
I do like one thing about the NBA Cup here. You said, Trey, that the Pistons are a +4 in point differential, and they're 2-0. And they beat the Raptors by 4 points. So how are they at +4?
Oh, yes. Go on.
Because the win over the Miami Heat went to overtime, so they don't call that a plus minus or anything.
It's a 0.
It's a 0, which I like. I respect.
That's weird.
That is weird.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it is weird. I guess the idea meaning that the point differential is fairly then distributed between all the teams in the group if you remove the overtime. But it is strange.
It is strange, but it does come down to the end of the fourth quarter, and it should. It's if you beat a team by 12 points in overtime, doesn't mean you won't beat them by 12 points. And for gamblers out there, I mean, you do win by 12 points, but for gamblers out there as well, like you could have a 6.5 point line. Let's say the Pistons are dogs to the Miami Heat by 6.5 points, and the Miami Heat tie them through 4 quarters. So you go into overtime and lose by 7 points, and the Heat win by 7 points. Should you lose the line? No.
You don't think you should.
But they do.
Yeah,
but you do. You shouldn't, though.
Yeah, Vegas is going to take your money.
I don't think you tie. It's a tie.
At the very least, it should be an option that you say, no, I'm only betting on 48 minutes of action. I do not want overtime. And maybe you get paid less or something like that, but I'm with you to some extent.
I do like the tab for the NBA Cup is on NBA.com. It's like one of those things you can never find. You can never find something. The in-season tournament, you know.
Don't get this guy started on the NBA app. Can you find it over there? Is it
Carousel.
easy?
I don't know.
All right, tonight's Pick'em game. It's important because we have a 3-way tie for last after those stupid Hawks fall to the Mavs last night. That's a loss for me and Esh. So I'm 7-8. Esh is 7-8. And Trey, who got the win last night with the Mavs, you improved to 7-8. Tass is 9-6. I guess you technically could still tie us here with 2 nights left in November, but tonight's game, very important.
It is very important. So I am going to Costco after this show to grab a large pumpkin pie. It's like 3.63 pounds, I found out.
Holy crap.
It's large, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator because I'm worried that they'll all be gone by tomorrow.
Thank God you're a 2-fridge house.
Yeah.
Because, man, like I'm sure you've got a packed fridge in your kitchen. Luckily, you got the one in the garage, man. Same for JD.
Real estate.
I'm a one fridge house. It'd be tough, man. That's all I'm saying.
Man, tough life. Fitting a pumpkin pie in a fridge.
When it's 4 pounds, yeah. That's gonna take up a whole rack in your fridge. You can't put it sideways like you're Jeff Teague with a pizza. Like
You could put it on. You could fit it on top of something because it is a pie.
Nothing more annoying than that, though. Hate that.
Yeah,
What about the other way? Would you make it into a shelf? You can put stuff on
Does
top
it
of the
have
pie.
a hard
that's
plastic
true.
cover, I guess?
It's a great
What's
question.
the integrity of that cover?
Can confirm it does.
It does, so I can put a jar of pickles on it.
Okay, I wouldn't put a jar of pickles, but I'd put another pie on top or, something like that.
You want 2 pies?
Gonna need a 3rd fridge for that.
Package of bacon.
But you're gonna go.
Costco's got a lot of good pies, so maybe I will.
Now,
Pumpkin cheesecake going on right now.
Now
Never
you
seen
said
that before.
you're going to go get this pie after the show because are you worried that the pies will be gone?
Absolutely.
By Thanksgiving? Because there was some talk in the playback streets last night. Like, hey, man, I know you want that 50% off come Friday on that pie, but they might all be gone.
Yeah, I was joking that I was going to wait till Friday because I would assume they'd be gone. It is Thanksgiving. people would buy their pies. We had somebody comment on our stream team that he previously worked at a Costco and that they were all gone.
Yeah.
By Wednesday, and that
Yeah, we might be out of luck here. What do we do?
Gotta make it.
gotta make
Gotta
one.
make
Not a
it.
bad idea.
It's not a bad idea at all. Our man Ash, I think, made 2 on this past weekend. He'll do it.
You think he made those?
I like it.
Oh, really?
They're on top of his
Coming
oven.
out of the oven.
Anyway, the game that will probably decide it. I shouldn't say probably. It's going to come down to the wire.
Yeah.
But tonight, Rockets at the Timberwolves. We talked about earlier. An important game
Huge.
in terms of NBA Cup world. The Timberwolves are favored by 3.5 at home to the Houston Rockets. So they got to win by 4+. But Skeets, Trey, and myself, we're confident that they'll do that. Ash, the only one taking the Rockets.
Which
in this
has usually gone well for people, being the lone
lone wolf.
picker. Yeah,
It's
the
good.
lone
Yeah,
wolf.
that is good.
The lone wolf against the Wolves. Interesting. Yeah, any reasoning why you're going Mini?
I think they're desperate.
Yes, a
Yeah.
little, but I also think it makes it more exciting for us to be tied going into the last game.
Wow. So
I don't know why. I was like, guaranteed we're going to have the same records going
Yeah,
into
it's
tomorrow.
true.
So it sets us up for a big-time showdown. And if Ash loses, then he's screwed.
He'd be in a tough spot, but he'd still have one night.
Yeah,
Could tie it up.
exactly, yeah.
Look, we had to do a bonus night in October.
Right.
And it's definitely in play here that we might have to do overtime. It won't count in the NBA Cup point differential, but we might have to do it. So anyway, Rockets Wolves, if you're cheering for Esh, you're hoping the Rockets can cover that line or just outright win, which they could, man. They're a damn good team. So we got Bulls Wizards, Bucks Heat, Rockets Wolves, Spurs Jazz, and Lakers Suns tonight. We're back tomorrow for our final show of the week, this being Thanksgiving week here in the States. So join us at 10 a.m. Eastern, live here from the Classic Factory. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. Podcast listeners, leave us a 5-star rating and review, but we'll have some fun tomorrow morning, and then that'll be it for us, for No Dunks at least, for the week. Until then, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, grocery stores way better to go to on weekdays than the weekends. I just got reminded. Went to Trader Joe's on the weekend. Whoa. Bow to bow.
Oh my God.
Nose to nose. We're like sausages.
Although
in there.
those aisles are small to begin with.
How about the parking lots?
Yeah. Crazy. Brace the day, people.